Hello, my name is Diana, and I'm a paleontologist at Petrified Forest National Park. Part of my job as a paleontologist is to care for fossils housed in our museum collection. Please join me and museum curator Matthew Smith for a behind-the-scenes look.
Hey everybody, my name is Matthew Smith. I'm the curator at Petrified Forest National Park. Welcome to our collections and welcome to our little video about National Fossil Day. So we're going to be taking you through the collections to show you some of the things behind the scenes that we have in here and talk a little bit about the geology. So yeah, Reveltosaurus is a cool little critter that was first described from teeth from New Mexico. But then in about 2004, we found remains of several individuals within the park that have complete skeletons. This is a 3D print of a skull that's built out of all the bones. Like this one, this is the palate bone, and you can kind of see it there. And so what we did was we scanned these individually and built them in a 3D model, and now we can print out and see the face of Reveltosaurus for the first time in 208 million years. Adam Marsh, our paleontologist, is working on a new paper describing the range of dinosaurs and dinosaur relatives that live in the park and the completeness of the fossils associated with them. So this is the skeleton of a creature similar to Coelophysis, and it's from the Petrified Forest member, and it's relatively complete. These are all bones from one individual dinosaur, which is kind of cool. Other fossils, like this little broken off leg bone, it's the proximal or nearest end of a femur from a creature called Chindosaurus. It's relatively small, but it's from a much older layer of rock by about 5 to 10 million years. And so what we're learning is not only about the anatomy of the dinosaurs, but how often they occur in the different layers and through time within Petrified Forest.
Museum collections are an important resource for researchers and educators. Our paleontologist, Adam Marsh, frequents the collection to gather data about the specimens. You can see him here using digital calipers to measure specific locations on these dinosaur bones for a new paper on the diversity of dinosaurs at Petrified Forest.
So another neat part of our collection is our type cabinet. And so types are the specimens, a fossil, or in the case of a modern animal, a skin or a skeleton, or even sometimes a DNA sample, that's used to describe a new species of animal, something that scientists didn't know about before. So in our type cabinet, we primarily have fossils of plants and animals. We have types like this one. So this is actually the skeleton of a creature called Scutarx deltatylus. It's from the Sonsela member of the Chinle Formation. And this is actually part of its skull way back here. And it's in pretty good shape, so I can pick it up. But you can see that this would be the eye socket. And this is the back of the skull where the spinal cord would have attached. The snout would have been out this way. So skulls of these are relatively rare. This is actually the only skull of this particular Adasaur that's known in the world. Holotypes come in a range of sizes and shapes, and obviously describe lots of different kinds of animals. We have things like crayfish, which would be similar to something swimming around on a reef. Of course, this would be in a river though. We also have specimens like this one. This is Chindosaurus bryan-smalli, all these bones through this region of the drawer. This is Petrified Forest's very own dinosaur. It was described about 30 years ago and collected just before that. And this is the holotype, so it bears the name Chindosaurus bryan-smalli. We have other specimens of this dinosaur in the park now from the Sonsela member and the Petrified Forest member. But what we're learning is more and more about the range of time that these animals occurred in the park, their size ranges, and all sorts of things about them. A third member in the Chinle Formation is the Blue Mesa member. And from this member, some of the earliest plants that were collected by park naturalists in the 1930s. And these are all fern fossils from the Blue Mesa member. This is primarily a fern called Phlebopterus smithi. We do have evidence of sharks. And you might note that National Fossil Day this year is about Guadalupe Mountains, and it's a reef habitat. Now, we don't have a reef here, but we do have sharks that would swim around our rivers, and these are all teeth of a little tiny shark called Xenacanthus. Relatively small shark, probably ate fish, baby amphibians, and all those kinds of things.
Once a fossil has been collected from the field, cleaned in the lab, and accessioned into our museum collection database, it's ready to go into our collection. It's important to select the appropriate size tray to provide ample space for the fossil while also conserving valuable space in the drawer. All of the materials we use to construct these supportive specimen trays, including the foam, boxes, specimen labels, and even the hot glue, are archival quality, ensuring these fossils will be preserved for generations to come.
So in some cases, we need to develop specialized storage containers for our fossils if they're large and delicate. So this is a plaster cradle, and it's lined with a spongy foam that pads the fossil. And if I just lift this up a little bit, you'll see that there is a Phytosaur skull in here. This is Machaeroprisopus pristinus, and it's a long-snouted, almost gharial-like fish-eating specialist.
Thanks for visiting the museum collection at Petrified Forest National Park. We hope you enjoyed the tour. Please leave any questions in the comments below. If you'd like to learn more about where you can see fossils on your next visit to Petrified Forest National Park, join us for our next video where we'll tour the Rainbow Forest Museum.